So I want to introduce one of my good friends and a true visionary in these projects, Mr. Billy Womack.
Well, thank you, Tony. Guys, what about that presentation that Tony gave? I got to spend a week with Tony this last week in Kauai with him and his wife, and we got to be there with a ton of other leaders around the world, and all these CEO brands were there. Our core team, not corporate, but core team that really were the visionaries, like Tony had mentioned. And it was just a blessing to get to spend quality time with people that all have the right vision in place. And when you're around greatness like that, you don't hear people talking about themselves. You always hear them talking about where the company is going, what they look forward to. And Tony is a perfect example of that. We are delighted to have someone like Tony with us because Tony in his right mind, Tony doesn't need to do this. Tony has got plenty of billion-dollar brands that Tony spent years building. He doesn't need what we have. Tony has joined us because he saw the vision, he saw the passion, he saw that it can impact lives. And guys, that's really why we're here. And if you look at our slogan, it's blockchain with a purpose. That's why we're here. If you follow the most successful people out there are the people that solve problems. If you follow the most successful people out there, they're not talking about money. They're not talking about possession. They're like, how do we make an impact in life? And what do we do to change the world? And that's the core group that we have around us. And that, I think, is why we are so successful, is we focus on solving problems. And those that solve the biggest problems are the people that end up in the front of the line. So Tony, I want to thank you so much just for the presentation, being on here, the introduction, but also just for joining us. And like Tony said, very modestly, Tony brings so much to this platform. It's ridiculous. Like he said, I've been here from day one, been with Wright for 7 years, but what Tony's been able to do in the last 6 months. Tony, I don't know if you remember this, but that very first meeting you had here in Vegas, I was in the room with you. I was right across there.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So I sat right across from me. I literally walked. I live right here on Vegas Strip. I walked over to the Aria where we met at the Waldorf, and Tony was there. And I was like, who is this guy? Because I heard all the buzz. Man, we got this guy coming in, and he's got this kind of company. He's got that kind of company. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And when he comes in, he's just really just mellow, just kind of cool, calm, collective. Like, who's this cat? And he's just a really humble, awesome guy, very articulate. Matter of fact, Tony's been here probably 5 years less than me, and he gives a better presentation than me. He's just that good. I've never been a true presenter, but what I am is an action taker like Tony, and hopefully like a lot of you guys on this call, because if you're around people that are making change in the world, you want to attach yourself to them. You know, I'm 50 years old. I learned a long time ago, if somebody has what you want and you're inspired by them, latch yourself, put yourself next to them and just hold on as tight as you can, because they're going to be running toward that goal. And if your vision's aligned the right way, you're going to end up on the other side. So I'm going to give you a little quick background about me. Tony wanted me to share a little bit about that. And for those that don't know my story, my name is Billy Womack. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I live here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been in crypto for about 8 years. I started making Bitcoin at $200. And this is actually the machine I use to make Bitcoin. I got this in Reykjavik, Iceland back in 2017, I believe. I started making Bitcoin at $204, Tony. So right there alongside you, right there. And we were the 5th largest mining operation in the world. Matter of fact, these little chips that you see on this miner right here have the computing power of 350 miners. So when I got involved, I was part of 2 rug pulls. A lot of you guys can relate to that. They weren't legitimate companies. I was trying to find my way into the space, and somebody's like, hey, we've got this great platform that's going to pay you 2% a day or whatever it was at that time. And I was just like, all right, how do I get involved? Let's get involved. And after that second rug pull, I was like, I'm done. And then I stopped, and I was like, you know what? There's got to be, I see, and one of my buddies said, Billy, I want you to do me a favor, and I want to challenge every one of you guys to do this tonight before you go to bed. Go to your Google or Yahoo, whatever search engine you have, and I want you to type in blockchain.
He's over here.
What's that? Okay. Blockchain Walmart, blockchain FedEx, blockchain AT&T, blockchain Mercedes-Benz, blockchain, whatever company you can imagine. Now, most of you are probably saying, what is blockchain? How in the world does this work? And if every major corporation almost that you can imagine is using blockchain, yet nobody around you knows what blockchain is, that's what they call emerging market. That is exactly what emerging market is. So you need to dive in and really educate yourself. And that's what I love about the Connect community and what we offer in Connect United's back office is an education platform to really educate you. So when this gentleman said, listen, you really need to educate yourself. So I went back to social media and I posted on there, instead of saying, who do you know in Bitcoin? I said, who do you know in blockchain? Who do you know in the underlying technology? And one guy said, I got a guy for you. I'm like, all right, here we go again. And he goes, I got this guy. He's worth over $100 million. And I need to introduce you. I said, all right, great. Let's talk to this guy. And he begged me to have lunch with him. 3 days later, I was sitting in a restaurant in Tampa at International Plaza. And he got me on the phone with this guy. Sure enough, this guy was who he said he was. So I was very impressed. And at that particular time, I just lost a lot of money in my business. I'm sure some of you guys on this phone call can relate. I'm not egotistical. I'm pretty humble about the way I tell my story. And the story is pretty simple. I was at a very dip in my life. I was almost flat broke. I was down to only a couple $1,000s to my name. I'd done a lot of success before that. And I spoke on stage. I did all this stuff. I was just in a really bad spot at that time. And this individual got on the phone. He starts telling me I need to be in Reykjavik, Iceland to go check out this mining operation. And I was like, all right, this guy actually wants me to go and meet other people, unlike the rug pull. So I was starting to feel very comfortable about the scenario. I saw who he was. I was like, all right, I got to get there. And he goes, all right, so yeah, you need to come to Reykjavik, Iceland. I'm thinking in my head, wow, that trip sounds pretty expensive for somebody that right now it's at a very dark place in their life. I think I only had like less than $5,000 to my name. And so he goes, yeah, I said, what's a trip like that cost? And he said, 10 or 15 grand. I was like, oh, great. I'm thinking to myself, shoot. I'm like, all right, how am I going to pull this off? So I'm like, all right. I said, tell you what, now listen, this is where you separate yourself as an innovator and somebody like Tony that really just, if you know that you've got to be in the room. And Tony and I were in, and Danny and his wife, Lori, and a couple others were in this. And I've always heard John C. Maxwell talk about, you've got to be in the room. If you get yourself in the room, the rest will take care of itself. So this guy was like, you got to get to Reykjavik, Iceland. I was like, geez, all right, how am I going to do that? So I asked him, I said, tell you what, why don't you give me a quota to hit? And if I hit that quota in the next 3 days, you take care of my trip. He said, that's funny. I didn't know I offered that. I said, well, you're going to want to meet me. I promise you. And he goes, yeah, if I had a nickel every time somebody said that. I said, listen, throw something ridiculous out there. If I hit it, then the quota I hit will obviously take care of it. No big deal. No loss. And if I don't, you'll never see me again. He said, all right, hot shot. He said, I want you to go sell $50,000 of these S5 miners. Mind you, I had never heard of a miner, didn't know what a miner was, never seen a miner before, and I had no clue what a miner was. And so I said, all right, so tell me a little bit about the miner. How's it work? He goes, nice talking to you. Goodbye. Click. And that was it. I was like, what in the world? He goes, talk to the guy next to you. I'm out. And I'm like, what a dick. And so I was like, all right, I've got to figure this out, though. I've got to be in Iceland, no matter what. And I was frantically, and he goes, I said, tell me just enough about this. He gave me like a 30-minute spill. 3 days later, 72 hours later, I called the guy back. And the guy said, he goes, yeah, hello. I said, hey, you need my flight information. He goes, no, I need you to go sell. I said, yeah, I did that. He said, you sold $50,000 of a machine. You don't even know what it is. In the last 72 hours, I said, no, I sold $350,000 of one of these. He said, what? You're full of, I think I see my mom on the Zoom, so I can't say that word. So, hi mom. And so, my mom also owns nodes, by the way. Everyone in my family owns nodes. So, I said, listen, pull up your back office. Sure enough, he pulled up his back office. He saw that I'd made the $350,000 in sales literally in 72 hours. He said, give me your flight information. I flew to Reykjavik, Iceland. I met about 350 other miners, entrepreneurs, and this Tomas guy. First time I met Tomas, so I had to say it like that. Tomas was there, superhuman. He's now become one of my best buddies. Tomas was there, and a couple other big builders all over the world were there. And I was like, wow, I couldn't sleep literally because I found myself probably where you guys are seeing yourself right now. You're in something very, very special, whether it hits you or not. And I tell everybody, the day that this company actually gets in you and you understand how big it is, you're not going to be able to sleep. You are literally going to be up for days saying, this is too good to be true. And I tell people all the time when they tell me that, they're like, it just sounds too good to be true. I said, so it's God's salvation. But here we are. So I said, either you can take your toe and dip your toe in it and run with it, or you can sit back. I said, I know I'm not letting go of this. You have to beat me to death, get away from this group. And sure enough, luckily for me, Bitcoin was at $200. We started working that company. A year later, I remember telling everybody, man, if Bitcoin ever gets to $10,000, we're going to be rich. And sure enough, you guys know the story. It went well past that. It went to 20,000. It dipped down to 10,000, or excuse me, 3,000. The electric bill was really high. That guy introduced me to his mentor, the guy I've been with now for 7 years. And I flew back and forth to Utah multiple times. And we were just talking. He was trying to tell me about this vision of what we were going to build here at Connect. I was like, I get it, but I'm used to hardware miners. This is software miners. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it. He goes, Billy, he goes, I like you. And if you're looking for a home, I'm looking for key people. Let's lock arms. And for someone that worth that kind of money, ask you to lock arms with them. I learned a long time ago, if you don't know a play in a playbook, you just say, yes, coach, put me in, you learn as you go. And that's kind of what I did there. I didn't understand everything about software nodes, but I knew this was the type of individual that he married his high school sweetheart. He's got 6 or 7 beautiful kids. I know most of them, just amazing family. Who you see him walking down the road. He wears a Superman shirt almost everywhere he goes. You wouldn't know he has a nickel to rub. That is just a really wholesome guy. And he's always thinking about family first. And I was like, man, I want to work with this guy. So I went back to Tampa and I was there for a couple months. We went back and forth to Utah about 5 or 6 times over the next 6 months. I started learning more about the software nodes, learning it's just like the hardware. It's just, except for it's just done in the cloud. And I said, let's do this. So he calls me 90 days later. We met here in Vegas, where I live now. Said, I've got a lot of entrepreneurs coming into town, and we're really going to launch this gaming platform, the one you've been on all these Zooms with called Gala. Actually, it wasn't even called Gala at the time. It was called Arcade. There's a trivia question for somebody that ever wants to know. What was Gala before it was Gala? It was called Arcade. So I came back to Vegas, and I sit in this house with about 20 entrepreneurs. Guess who was there? Tomas again. I was like, this guy's all over the place, but he's always there before me. So this is the guy now I'm gonna start locking arms with all the time. And so I get here to the house and they bring in all these gamers, and I'm like, I'm not a big gamer. The last game I played was Donkey Kong or Tetris, but I believe in this guy. I'm just going to buy a few of these nodes because I'm going to wait and buy my big purchase on Switch and the banking solution. So I said, let me just buy some of these. I made some good money on the last project. So I bought $15,000 worth of these nodes there at that time. And I bought them, got them online, and I went back to Tampa. I'm calling all my friends. I'm excited about these software nodes. Everybody's like, they're only $1,000. I don't know if it's a gaming thing. I'm not sure if it's going to work. And everybody told me no, except for one person. One. Out of all my friends, one person told me yes. Everybody else, I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe we'll just wait on the next project. So I'm like, all right, let me get them online. I moved out to Vegas, COVID hit 90 days later. I flew to Mexico. I started manufacturing COVID gowns, shipping them across. Wright's calling me all the time. Billy, what are you doing? We're getting ready to launch this thing, man. I need you by my side. And I was like, man, I'm coming. I'm just making a lot of money, almost a couple $100,000 a month doing these medical gowns. And so finally he said, hey, look in your back office and tell me what you see. And I'm like, I don't even know how to log in. I literally didn't know how to log into my back office because we were Arcade when I signed up, and then we were Gallad. So I got on, and I'm going to get to something really cool to show you guys here in a second. And I log in, and I had millions and millions of Gala. I'm like Tony said, maybe they're worth something, maybe they're not. You just never know until that project launches. So I log in, and I'm going to show you guys real quick a little of this so you guys kind of see with your own eyes. So this is Gala Games. This is my actual account right here with Gala. Boom, boom. And it's a gaming platform. These are the same guys that created Farmville, Zynga Poker, Words with Friends, Mafia Wars, Farmville 1, 2, and 3. These are the same guys that created it, and they were building this out. Of course, we only had one game at the time. So I bought these 11 software nodes right here. Boom, I have 11 nodes. But what's really cool is I want to show you guys, I bought those nodes for $1,000 each. They minted me about over the course of 2 years. It took 2 years to build the company out, and then it started hitting exchanges. So everybody, when they come on board with us, they're like, how long is it going to take for me to get ROI? Tony said it best. We don't know. We don't know if it'll ever be worth something. We hope if we build the company big enough, we believe that because of our experience, because of the team that's driving the force, and because of the solutions or the problems or the solutions we're fixing in the environment, we believe these things are going to do really well, and it's worth the risk to reward factor for us. So I bought these nodes, they accumulated all these rewards, and I want to kind of show you guys. When he called me, he said, hey, look in your back office and see how many you had. I think I had like 16 million of them at the time. And I said, are they worth anything? He said, they're about 3 or 4 cents right now. I was like, oh, all right, not too bad. But I expected it to be a wash, no problem. But I believed in him, so I kept him on. And I said, listen, I'm getting ready to wind this down so I can come back and really kind of push this out for you guys. So I came back to him. We started really pushing Gala again. And at $6,000, $8,000, I started selling a ton of these notes. It was insane how many people wouldn't buy them at $1,000, but they started buying from me at $6,000 and $8,000. And so we got them online. All of a sudden they went to 3 cents, 5 cents, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It was like popcorn. I was like, what is going on? And I woke up one day and I had $10.2 million liquid cash in my account. I remember I called my mom and I was literally had tears in my eyes. I was crying. I'm like, I'd never been a multi-millionaire before. And it was liquid dollars. And I was like, what do I do? Well, the first thing I did was pay off anything that I had. Secondly, I was like, I've always wanted a Bentley GT Continental. So I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to go get a Bentley, my dream car. And I talked to my mom. She goes, well, listen, you got enough really to buy 35 of them cash or 37 of them cash. If you don't go get it now, when will you ever get it? I was like, man, I just don't ever want to go broke again. She goes, don't go broke. Just go take care of yourself and treat yourself. So I went and got my brand new Bentley GT. I still have it. She's a beauty. Great. And it felt great. It gave me a lot of energy. It gave me a lot of excitement about this. I'm like, man, how many more lives can I impact, whether it's a car or a new home for a family? How many lives can I impact if I took this energy and really started sharing the word all over a place about these projects? So I want to show you guys real briefly. This is my back office still 4 years later. The money that Tony should have and could have bought his nodes with. Sorry, Tony, a little poke. But I'm still getting over 7,000 Gala per day right here. And you say, Billy, what's that worth? Well, if we go here, it's not a lot right now. It's, think Gala, give it a second here. You can go right here. It's at 4.5 cents. So, let me just do that. 7,050 times 0.04282, about $300 a day times 30. It's about $9,000 at this very moment. But how many of you guys on here for extra $9,000 a month? How many of you guys would that be life changing? That you had that kind of money coming in every day, $300. So what that means is, guys, COVID hit, times were tough. People were struggling. People couldn't pay their light bill or anything else. Imagine getting the extra $300 per day. Now I can talk about this because we've already made this. I can't make future earning promises, as I never will, but I can literally talk about this because I'm making this every day. It's liquid. I can literally cash this out right this second, and it's in my bank account. So let that be a little note to self to you guys. We can't go out and make future earning promises, but I can sit here and disclose this because this is real. Right now, I can cash this out today. It'll be in my bank account tomorrow, or like Tony said, I can put it on my Switch card and use it right away. So I've already went through this process once. Kathy is like my mama bear. We have a great relationship over 3.5 years. So anyway, this is my distribution. So I don't want to stay on Gala, but what I want to do is just show you guys the impact 4 years later. Last month it was at 8 cents, so I was getting about $15,000 a month. Excuse me. This fluctuates as it goes, so it's really cool. And then I always like to just show people, scoot back a couple years ago, so you actually see, because a lot of people talk the talk, and I think it's important to validate, even though we really don't need to. I just do this to show people a couple years ago what I was pulling out. So you see the full circle. You see a couple years ago where we were at, what was pulled out. This is really going to hurt Tony, because I know Tony wouldn't have bought 11 notes. Tony would have bought 1,000 to 5,000 of these notes. So this is really going to sting him. Sorry, but this is for the average people out there, Tony. So right here, we're just going to go back 2, 3. This is on the blockchain, all verifiable, guys. So right here, boom. Now I wasn't pulling out $2 million. I was pulling out 2 million Gala. So let me show you this real quick. If I go here and I type in, oops, I'll let that load for a second. We're on the Zoom, so it may not load. Here we go. All time. Boom. And if you go back exactly right there, it's 66 cents. 2 years ago, right on that mark, it was 66 cents. So I was pulled out 2 million, 1 million, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 2 million, 1 million, and it goes on and on and on. This is all registered right on the blockchain. So I like to show that so you guys kind of visualize when it comes in. Let me go back up here. When it comes in right here, your rewards, if you're new to this platform, they just accumulate. So right here, they come in on a daily distribution. And then right here, I can go here and I can say inventory. I like to walk people through this so they kind of watch that whole process. They go in here. You can move them over to the chain. Here's another 300,000 of them sitting here. Boom. And then I can send them over to Switch, and then I can sell them. I can swap them over to USDT, USDC, or just sell them on the open market, which there's plenty of liquidity. And then I can use them right here with my debit card, or I can move them straight into my account. So the reason Tony and I are super, super excited is because all these other blockchains are blockchains we really, really believe in. The reason I'm so bullish, obviously, a lot of the same reason on Switch. Obviously, I've been here from day one to help Kathy and Brad from day one launching this. But one of the key things that Tony maybe not have mentioned, I didn't hear him mention it, but he probably did, because he's sharp and he remembers everything a lot better than I do. But one of the really cool things about Switch is it not only can you convert crypto very quickly, you can get it into the market extremely fast within literally the same day. But one of the biggest issues, if you look at Coinbase or Binance, what's the biggest issue those companies have? Try to do a support ticket and hear back from Coinbase in 2 or 3 weeks or 30 days. Blockchain needed a solution. We needed a solution in the banking institute. So it's Kathy, who ran customer service for Discover Card before she became the COO. She goes, we need live customer service on the blockchain. It does not exist anywhere other than on our platform. So when you do a support ticket on our blockchain, you actually get a live person on the opposite end to answer your questions on your support ticket. Guys, if you guys have been in this space for a while, you understand how big that is. That is absolutely astronomical to have real customer service on the blockchain. So it's super, super exciting to be a part of the movement. When I went back and I made this money with Wright, it's kind of crazy because all the guys that I made, when I say this, it sounds kind of funny. I only made 10.2 million bucks, but everybody else made 10 times what I made. It was kind of nuts that we were all part of, like Tony said, the Super Bowl, if you will, and we all got our rings, but I was hungry for more because I made less than everybody. So I was like, man, I've got to get back in the game, coach. I worked off season. I helped build these things, and I've been back in the trenches. Now, instead of owning 11 nodes, I have hundreds and hundreds, a lot more nodes. And it's not about me, it's about you. So what you've got to do is dive into some of these videos, learn about these projects, see which ones move you. If you're like Tony and I, you have your fingers in a little bit of all of them because you want to diversify your portfolio. And it's a really epic time right now that you can be a part of something so special that I don't think that you've got it yet. But by the numbers I'm seeing through some of these guys like Brian and D, and I know that Ryan came on, and now Danny, I got to spend some time with Danny. Danny, are you, and I got to share a lot with Danny. Is Danny on here? Can you make Danny a host?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I want Danny to speak briefly, a little bit about your experience so far, about there, and really about the community. And I'll tell you guys, one of the things I want to share with you guys, since we have some network marketers on here or some builders on here or whatever you want to call them, when you build something over here, this is the part when it gets you, and I explained this to Danny, and I saw Danny's eyes just working overtime, and then it just clicked, and his eyes just got huge. He's like, repeat that again to me. And he's like, I explained it again, is when you're part of a direct sales company or a different sales company, you have an attrition rate of maybe 3 to 5% of the people that stay. So you have to continue build and build and build and build. When you build something on the blockchain that's this special that we do over here, the really cool part is when you have a friend chain on the blockchain. Let's just say my friend Brian here buys some nodes, and he's not happy. He didn't like the way it went for whatever reason. He said, man, I'm out. Well, Brian just spent $9,000, $10,000 on his nodes. He's not just going to turn them off and walk away. What's Brian going to do? He's going to sell them to a buddy, or whatever. He's going to sell his whole account eventually. You can't sell till all the nodes are sold off on that particular project, but eventually he'll be able to sell them off. When he does, let's say that Mark comes around, Mark grabs that account, Mark sees the value in what we're doing, and Mark starts buying more nodes and buying more nodes. Guess who that's attached to? I'm not attached to Brian. I'm attached to that account, which means I have that account for life, that it's a joint account to me. And so any other purchases from that point on for life, I'm attached to. I can still create value out of that. I can still get a commissionable rate off of that. Guys, that's huge. I can't tell you how Tony and Danny both have built massive organizations. And to tell somebody that if they walked away from the company, but they can just hand off their business to somebody else and they come in and start doing something, that doesn't exist over on the other side of the island. But on this side, it does. But I got the chance to talk with Danny. I'm going to pause real quick and let Danny kind of speak. Unmute yourself, Danny, when you get a chance.
Got it. I'm here.
And Danny, just share a little bit about your experience so far with us, and about Kauai a little bit, and what we talked about, a little bit of that.
I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was Kauai. I mean, look, I'm going to sound like a networker when I say this. This is for real. It was by far the most life-changing event I've ever been to in my life. And why I say that, it's almost like my eyes were opened even more. I mean, I've been building this for a few months, been having fun, sharing it with a lot of people. But when I really understood what was behind this, I had met Wright, I've worked with Tony, I got to meet you, got to meet all the people in charge of the companies and what they're doing. It really blew my mind that I thought, okay, we can really build something here that's going to last a lifetime. And I've never had that in my life. I mean, I've built many businesses, and it's like, wow, I became a jumper, back to this one, back to that one, selling this, selling skincare, selling whatever. But I looked at this like there's going to be many projects on here. And you said something, Billy, one time, because I go, oh, you made all that money in Gala. but we have like a dozen projects here. And you're like, well, the next project is going to be big, like the first one or the second one, then the fifth one, then the 20th and the 30th and the 50th. It's like we can really make a change in the world by helping people. Sure, we can make money, but I look at it like the more people that we go out there and share this with, the bigger the community gets, the more people understand what we're doing, and the more people really open their eyes to understand what we're doing, what we're doing here. So, did you want to say something?
No.
My wife is sitting right next to me,
No, I just
and she's like, "Should I jump on? Should I jump on? Oh my gosh, my hair's not done. I don't know." But my wife has not slept in
Yeah.
days. Like,
Hi, Billy. I
We-
know. I was just gonna say my husband's officially addicted to nodes. We don't sleep in our household for 9 weeks, and we're addicted. We're having a time of our life. This is the first time I've had fun in a couple of years, sharing with people, building a business, and just passionately loving what we're doing.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Darren, for sharing this with me. And I will tell you one thing. Darren called my wife 6 months ago and said, "Hey, what are you doing for dinner?" And she's like, "What are you in Dallas?" He's in Virginia. And he talked to her because I wanted nothing to do with network marketing anymore. And he got her to take me to dinner where I sat down and met with Tony. And that's where this whole thing began. But when we were in Scottsdale and we heard about nodes, we looked at each other like, this is the dumbest thing. Like, what nodes? But it's been, it's been the most incredible experience we've ever had. So I thank you very much. I'm excited to work with everybody here. We are a big team. So Billy, thanks for spending time with us, important time into us as well.
Yeah, so guys, I want to share, and Tony can kind of elaborate a little bit more on this as well, is a lot of things. Kauai was great for the core team and the builders and the brands to all come together and kind of lay out a game plan for the future of us. The brands are going to be the brands. They're going to build the brand. That's their job. But for leaders like us, it's been here, and these guys that are coming on board and just crushing numbers that just insane numbers. We decided with Tomas and some other guys, we've really got to start setting up meetings in these towns where you guys are really building. And then those are going to lead into regional events, and those are going to lead into national and international events. And so we're going to be rolling out some information. Tony, when do you know when that's coming out? You're muted, Tony.
So we're working on putting the schedule together. I know I'll put a link right now. We've got Palm Beach on Saturday. And I'll throw a link into the chat right now where you can just get the details on that. And I have a mastermind event that I have to go to in Dallas and speak at. And then I think when are you looking at Vegas, Billy?
We're looking at either the 24th or the 26th. Brad and I were just kind of solidifying stuff. They're going to let us know tomorrow. So we will be hosting an event right here at Aria at Poker Go in Las Vegas. Me and Tomas, and I think maybe even Danny will be here, and Tony, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then we're going to fly from there to, I think, Amsterdam and Dubai.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pack up and we're gonna get out there. So if you guys have leaders in different areas, we're gonna be out there supporting them. Just like I told Danny, anytime he needs me on his Zoom, or Tony, we work together. Guys, this is the reason we work together like this, is because this is a decentralized platform, which means the more people that have nodes, the more people that are on our platform, we all win. This, in direct sales or any kind of network building scenario, that's not the case. It's eat, you have to go out and kill what you eat, and that's your thing. But here it's completely different. We have to come together. We all work together, and we want to support you because maybe you don't have the funds to travel around or the availability or whatever. We are here for you guys. We are servants to you guys. We're here to build for you guys. But coming up, Vegas is going to be right after Tony's event. And then I think we're going to go to Amsterdam and Dubai from there.
That's the plan. And we'll make sure, as the schedule gets ironed out, we'll have it in the back office. People will be able to click and see the calendar, see where it's at. And eventually we'll have, I got a message from Ange, one of our Australians, and she was like, I want to start running some events in Australia. It's like, all right, I'd like to go to Australia. So sounds good to me. So we'll end up with events going on all over the world. People will be able to to plug people into those events and get them the information, get them started. And maybe you're not in Australia, but you start building a team in Australia. Maybe you're not in Florida here on Saturday, but if you send folks in to meet with us, Darren Kidd's going to be there. I'll be there. Darren's the CEO of Rally, the meeting software. Paul will be there. Paul's the CEO of Rev, the rideshare. And so we'll be sharing these projects with everybody. And I think, you're going to start seeing, as Billy said, events popping up around the world, and it's going to get more and more exciting as we go.